And so the party defeated the Chained One, the course of history changing to meet a new destiny. The Rowanwick prefect celebrated its victory over the Chained One, though the resources allocated to destroy the chained deity would cost Rowanwick its control over southern Krixidale. Soon after, the Rowanwick government abdicated to the Warforged forces of Mount Aether. As governor of the Rowanwick prefect of Krixidale, Ironwood Buttersnaps managed to put together a lot of efforts to stop the Chained One. His party, he assigned to destroy the Chained One, went all but missing, with the exception of Dave and Chiderius. Dave received the full payout, though the excessive damage to his resources would prove detrimental to the oncoming metallic hordes from Mount Aether. As the general of the Rowanwick armies, Tigin Buttersnaps traveled up north to the Iochemus Mountains, though he never escaped the exploding dimension in time. His realm knows him as a hero, though will that stick with the Mount Aether's control over Krixidale now? Only time will tell. As secretary to Governor Buttersnaps, Forbess Ohana played a major hand in assembling a party to stop the Kuan Yi and the Chained One, though she would also be unable to assist the governor in stopping the Warforged armies. Her fate is unknown. Sithrel, Sylvanas' champion of the Rowanwick forest, perished undergoing an operation to reduce human destruction within the Rowanwick forest. This ironically helped in the destruction of Rowanwick and herself. Renald Longshadow, the woolly Loxodon. He and two other comrades attempted to support Dave and Ezekiel Longheart in destroying the Kuan Yi encampment near Crossmaglen. Such an action saved the lives of Dave, Ezekiel, and their contractor Dugginzol, but cost them their own lives. Thalatte Ti'amtum, the part moonstone, part prismatic dragonborn wizard. She was on a mission to destroy the Kuan Yi encampment near Crossmaglen, though her life was snuffed out in the process. She was slain by the dark turtle Krull in efforts to save members of the party. Francis Bleu, the cod-slinging rogue. His powers and skills were surely something to be beheld, but his final mission proved fatal, killed by the Kuan Yi apostle, Krull. Xavier and Shirly Rummack. As operatives of Lord Tigin Buttersnaps, they perished in the battle against the Chained One's forces in the Iochemus forest, while they served Rowanwick's interest in protecting Greenhawk when it fell into anarchy and facing hordes of the Chained One's forces. The time they bought fighting the Chained One's forces in Iochemus were vital for many more lives to survive. The cult of the Moondragon proved to be quite the threat to any force within Krixidale, though as the Warforged armies arrived in Pewtershire, they found the city to be a near ghost town, with the exception of hordes of demons, which had slain the members of the cult. Something had been opened in that library. It would have cost the Warforged months of time and plenty of resources to contain the Demogorgon that had been unleashed from the center of primordial knowledge. The priest of Krunor continued to spread his religion, eventually moving to new continents to spread the valuable word of Krunor. Eventually, he was rewarded with the entrance into the Forge of Krunor for his efforts in defeating the Chained One and spreading the new religion. Lord Ivory was the finalist on the Nelgamsor Arena Championship. Though he and the dwarves fought hard, the Warforged proved to be too powerful for him and his kin to stop. Now, the Nelgamsor arenas lay bare, and the dwarvish mines are used to create new Warforged. The Wizard Court of Krixidale. Many appearing at Arith's request to face the Herald's forces. They went missing after the Battle of the Chained One. Some say that they perished inside the realm. Others say they still lurk within the shadows, though a new line of wizards are appearing every day. The Arcane may one day take control of the old fallen empire. The Dragonborn of Tiamat, champion of the Dragon Goddess, managed to assist in containing and destroying the Chained One, though through his actions he perished within the realm of the Chained One. He would go on to return to Avernus to protect his Dragon Goddess until she was fully released. With the Dragonborn of Tiamat slain, the remaining members of the cult of Tiamat went into hiding, awaiting a new day where they could resurface to bring Tiamat's domain onto the material plane.
Krull, an apostle of the Kuan Yi. Krull was selected to besiege the city of Crossmaglen and launch an all-out assault on the eastern Krixidale. Through the efforts of Dugginzol, Dave, Ezekiel Longheart, Renald Longshadow, Francis Bleu, Thalatte Ti'amtum, Krull and his reckoners were vanquished. This would spell the end of the Kuan Yi.
Which one who went by the name of Nerix Crumple joined the apostle of the governor of Rowanwick in his assault after Governor Ironwood and the Rowanwick Council took ownership of his clock tower. While his efforts did not go unnoticed, he was slain in the Kuan Yi war camp overlooking Rowanwick Forest by the party, though his identity lives on in his watch, which is carried by Ezekiel Longheart.
Light, formerly known as Ermias Umbridge, was a filthy
Rich Shatterkai,
who haunted a crumbling mansion in Gloomrot.
Although such a life was peaceful, Light had left his family and wealth behind, heading into the service of the Apostle of Rowanwick, where he was subsequently slain. The Knight of Bones, a legendary warrior of Krixidale, who joined the Kuan Yi under the promise of escape from the fate of the Nine Hills. He was one of the first slain during the assault on the Rowanwick encampment by the party. Now his soul roams the second layer of hell as a revenant.
The Apostle of Rowanwick, a powerful fiendish body of the Kuan Yi. The Apostle of Rowanwick spent much of his time facing the enemies of the Kuan Yi. One of these fights was how his claws became lined with the shards of a vorpal blade. With a deadly sting and an even deadlier claw slash, he was assigned to the conquest of Rowanwick, where he was slain.
The Apostle of Aether, a cunning illusionist, the Apostle of Aether was sent to perhaps the least organized region to bring organization, or perhaps because he was the weakest of the apostles. Either way, he has been devoured by the vultures at the foothills of the mountain of Aether.
The Herald's might, the exalted one of the Kuan Yi. The Herald's might was slain by the party after a very lengthy siege by the party and Arith and his forces, nearly taking down the deep dragon Hubert, Ezekiel Longheart, and Xavier, and causing significant damage to the party and Arith. The exalted one was slain, allowing Arith to claim the city of Flamebridge for the new Kuan Yi order, and to move along to face the Herald.
The Herald of the Kuan Yi attempted to overthrow the empire of Krixidale. Through the actions of the party and organization of Arith, he was slain and the Kuan Yi fell, though his actions will have likely helped the Warforged of Mount Aether in their conquest of Krixidale.
Dugginzol, an exiled member of the Kuan Yi, the party met him as an outcast planning to repel an invading army by any means necessary. While difficult, he managed to destroy the Krull and the Kuan Yi invasion of Crossmaglen, Subsequently, Arith noticed his actions and invited him to attack Flamebridge, where he was slain by the Exalted One. The Centurion of Exile, formerly an Exalted One of the Kuan Yi, who was exiled from his post. The Centurion roamed the Rustburn Hills, attacking Kuan Yi monks out in the open. He was invited by Arith to assault the Herald's temple in Rustburn. He continued to help the party destroy the Chained One, barely managing to escape with his life with Dave on the Astral Turtle. Though his actions of rebuilding Arith's dream of the Kuan Yi will be bound by the incoming Warforged invasion. Arith, previously the Herald's executioner. He was once a devoted member of the Kuan Yi, until he was visited by Sylvanas. Now he lives to destroy the Kuan Yi and return some semblance of order to Krixidale. The party met him at his camp, where he nearly had to kill his would-be allies. He sent them off to destroy the remaining apostle, while he readied forces to assault the Exalted One's keep, and after move on to destroy the Herald of the Kuan Yi. After slaying the Herald, Arith joined in the battle against the Chained One, dying to the hero of the cult of the Chained One, his body being vaporized with the destruction of the realm of the Chained One. With the Herald and his apostles destroyed, the rebuilding of the Kuan Yi into a new and more just order was required. Arith and the Centurion of Exile were set out on this path, though only the Centurion of Exile would see a day beyond the trials of the Chained One. No one has seen the Centurion or the Kuan Yi, though it is almost certain that they are still there, lying in waiting. With them left many of the souls of the wasteland, though only a few remain left behind. Barxus was one of the highest-ranking members of the Purple Tiefling Bandit Gang. His proximity to Greenhawk was what attracted the cult of the Chained One. They needed sky iron. He wanted platinum. He shipped off enough sky iron to the Chained One to allow the creation of a portal into the Chained One's prison dimension. Though trying to recover the sky iron from the party, he was slain on the bridge of Nelgamzork in Crossmaglen. The Purple Tiefling Bandit Gang. They mounted a deadly assault against the city of Greenhawk, which saw the death of the Greenhawk Guard and the mayor. Though their forces were destroyed by the party in Greenhawk, their camp, and subsequently their final stand at the bridge, the Purple Tiefling Gang's remnants moved to the Triads to rebuild their gang and reform their power.
Alhoon, the White Illithid, and the Mind Flayer who flayed the Warforged to near extinction. His actions nearly sealed the fate of the world, until Absolutus and Chiderius destroyed him and his animated armors, reigniting the Forge and the Warforged. The hero of the Chained One. The hero of the Chained One faced Chiderius, who incarnated as the Lord of Blades during the ritual to free the Chained One fully. He fell not having fully released his master, though his work was definitely felt, even as his master fell. Biao Zi, a master of portals, managed to help the party enter the Chained One's dimension, using the Sky Iron portal. He met Dave and the Centurion of Exile, traveling with them away from Mount Aether after the Chained One has been defeated. His travels to study portals and dimensional magic required him to travel further into an unknown area. He has not been seen since. The Colossus of the Forge transported many Warforged soldiers across the realm of the Chained One. This allowed the Warforged strike force to assist the party directly and indirectly. It also allowed many of the Warforged and Kuan Yi soldiers to escape the realm, parting ways and returning the strike force to the Forge for their new assignments. Absolutus was one of the warforged constructed to destroy the Chained One in the old days. He and Chaderius retook the forge of the warforged, where they utilized their forces to attack the Chained One's dimension. Absolutus barely managed to plane shift out with the recently perished Duke Mithril and Chaderius. Now, Absolutus and Chaderius will attack the Empire of Krixidale with their forces. With the forge restarted, the Kuan Yi in shambles, and the Chained One defeated, and several cities leaning towards joining the Warforged efforts, the Warforged of Mount Aether embarked on an all-out assault against the Empire of Krixidale, such is the way of empires.
Beilen was a traveler roaming through Rowanwick when he was kidnapped from his traveling party by the party. Through traveling with the party, he managed to come face to face with the realm of the Chained One, where he was slain by the Chained One, though perhaps in another time he was revived by Carlos.
Duke Mithril started as a pup who had been awakened by his master. Though he became a powerful Dunamancer, through his help, the forge of the Warforged was relit, the Kuan Yi and its Herald destroyed, and the Chained One was defeated. Though he perished within the halls of the Chained One, he was resurrected by the Warforged. His efforts to help Chaderius was finished. He left to continue his research of Dunamancy and delve into chronourgy. Some wizards now say that the most impressive teacher they've ever had was a golden retriever. Common folk from many continents have spotted a flying mountain which holds a white dragon embroiled in shadowy flames with a golden retriever by its side.
The city of Rowanwick fell, its governor defeated at the hands of the Warforged. Now it's only speculation of what remains of the city that started the end of the Chained One.
Greenhawk eventually ran out of sky iron. Its usefulness certainly would run out. Even if it were to be still used as a military fortification, its commercial viability waned as each and every resource and citizen eventually left for other cities.
Pewtershire had fallen, its land turned into a desert of death, a blight that no living creature nor any machine could safely live in. Of course, it proved to be very fertile for the certain chicken farmer. Now his Avernus fried abyssal chicken is the talk of Krixidale. The dwarven towns certainly caused issues for the Warforged, though it would too fall. Lord Ivory and his men were too little to face the horde of metal, and now its resources and metal are used widely, and the old empire takes great value from it.
Not even the Warforged would dare to cross the Dread. The Obsidian Dragon Knights made sure no Warforged could threaten their land. Once a Warforged Colossus attempted to turn the tide of the battle, but now a giant statue of metal remains in its wake, with a melted head and hardened obsidian running down its chest. Thus, Crossmaglen would remain the realm of the Dread.
The entire Iochemus region was certainly wrecked by the Chained One's forces. An army of mind flayers and cultists still remained. This would be the last city to fall to the Warforged, and be one of the deadliest battles within the shores of Krixidale. Moon Harbor. The city of Moon Harbor would remain much the same. Its defenses were too strong, and with the aid of the Primordial, it would prove to be too dangerous to try and take the city.
The Leonin of Mount Aether tried to play with powerful forces, facing the ire of the Frost Giants, Goliaths, and the Dragons. Through a combined alliance of the Giants, Goliaths, Dragons, and Warforged, the Leonin were wiped out. Their kind would never resurface in Krixidale. The Frost Giants were among the first enemies that the Warforged had to deal with. The deaths of the Goliaths were crimes they could not let go unpunished. But a giant versus a metal titan is certainly a sight to behold.
The Goliaths just wanted to live in a safe place. They were betrayed by the Jabberwock and the Warforged. Many Goliath packs still roamed Krixidale. All were worried by the sudden disappearance of the Goliaths of Mount Aether.
The Jabberwock allowed Mount Aether to fall within the grasp of the Warforged. He even helped to fight the Chained One, though in the process he perished. Though about 2 decades after the Chained One's defeat, travelers say that they saw the Jabberwock and even heard him near his temple in Mount Aether. With her champion and Bident missing, Dasa chose to drift back into the unknown, only occasionally using the seas to upset any attempts of Krixidale to explore other continents. Perhaps one day a new champion will appear. Until then, the 7 seas are not hospitable to even the greatest of sailors.
The dwarvish god of the forge blesses you. Krunor certainly enjoyed watching the fires of the Warforged forges start producing more robots. Krunor's support significantly rose throughout Krixidale, and not even the Warforged overlords could stop that from happening.
The Primordial continued his solitary existence with the walls of Moon Harbor, defending his home occasionally against the Warforged and helping those of his people survive a long siege. His walls remain a forbidden sanctuary in the realm of Krixidale.
The dragon on the spire bound with gold. The town of Red Spire appeared around the spire of the maniac. Members of the cult of Tiamat would join this town, honoring the Red Maniac and the Dragonborn of Tiamat. The tower itself was enough of a ward against any threat, until the Red Maniac was forced to face off against Tiamat, facing the dangerous foe to all entities.
The Dread continued to stay within. The Dread would continue to stay within his keep. His Dragon Knights and Lizard King would always hold Crossmaglen. They were just too defended for any foe to attempt to destroy it. The only time the Dread ever left Crossmaglen was when the Dragon Goddess Tiamat was unleashed, helping the Red Maniac and the isolated Primordial. The Dragon Goddess was defeated.
There are rumors of a strange plasmoid-like creature. He appears as quickly as he goes. Most people who deal with him go missing within many months. Others are cursed to carry dolls for eternity. Though all gained powerful artifacts, nobody has ever had enough time to strike him down.
Cedric's Silverquill was released by Chedelius and Jabberwock upon the world, though he was unable to attend the threat of the Chained One. His impact on the world would be felt for centuries to come, creating the Strixhaven Academy, floating above the open oceans for all individuals of any continent and any skill set, to gain even more skills within magic. This magical revolution would allow several of the cities of Krixidale to become independent. The Chained One was a primordial entity which was banished to a prison dimension by the old gods and primordials. After centuries chained down, his cult finally released him, though his corpse now drifts through the astral sea, guarded by the fiercest of astral dreadnoughts. The effects of his rebirth affected the Empire of Krixidale, all states that followed after. This includes dealing major blows to the Kuan Yi, cult of Tiamat, scattering the party, and weakening the Empire itself.
And so the party's adventure came to an end, for now. In the new world of Krixidale, fighting continued, empires were toppled, and many lived and died. Just had
just as they had in the days of the Chained One. The bard Ezekiel Longheart, the astral monk Jin, and the fighter Carlos were launched back to the beginning of their journey to take new paths in a strangely different world. The barbarian Dave journeyed back to his village, where he would take a more peaceful life, hundreds of thousands of gold coins to fuel any venture he would choose to go down. Plenty of enemies remained for him back in Krixidale, and he had various other unknown entities and lands to investigate elsewhere. The Oathbreaker, Chiderius, completing his primary directive in destroying the Chained One, used the weakened status of the Empire to unleash a horde of Warforged. Each city he would attack would fall without divine intervention. His empire would hold on strong for centuries before the magical revolution would eventually threaten his line of power. Each of the party members would be remembered for their actions in defeating the Kuan Yi and the Chained One, even after they perished.
And so that about wraps up everything for the campaign. Thank you guys for all doing the campaign, I guess. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I didn't really write this back and out. I didn't think I would do it, honestly. Hopefully after I get back from my little trip, my deployment, I will be able to maybe do some more if you guys are interested still, or we can figure it out from there. I mean, I'll probably just randomly send a Discord invite or something. I don't know. I gotta. That's like 6 months from now. So, yeah. Appreciate you guys for finishing this campaign. It was pretty much like one of the first campaigns I finished in a while, which is annoying, but yep. So I appreciate those of you that did do it, and yep.